The camera comes on with a shot of the live crowd in the Ford Arena, part of the Delta Center in Salt Lake City, Utah. As pyro goes off around the stage area, Violet Orlandi's cover of Black Sabbath's War Pigs starts to play through the arena. Generals gathered in their masses. Just like witches at black masses. Evil minds that plot destruction. Sorcerer of death's construction. In the fields, the bodies burning. As the war machine keeps turning. Death and hatred to mankind. Poisoning their brainwashed minds. Oh Lord, yeah. Politicians hide themselves away. They only started the war. Why should they go out to fight? They leave that role to the poor, yeah. Time will tell on their power minds. Making war just for fun. Treating people just like pawns in chess. Wait till their judgment day comes, yeah. Now in darkness, world stops turning. Ashes where their bodies burning. No more war pigs have the power. Hand of God has struck the hour. Day of judgment, God is calling. On their knees, the war pigs crawling. Begging mercy for their sins. Satan laughing, spreads his wings. Oh Lord, yeah. The Warzone logo comes up onto the screen as a series of pyro goes off. The now normal drone flyby on the arena goes across as the graphic shows that audience at home that 18,718 fans, of a capacity of 20,000, had joined the CWF tonight in the Delta Center in Salt Lake City, Utah. The camera then cuts to our announcers, Ben Price and Fast Eddie Vega. Ben Price, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the 9th episode of Warzone in CWF's 3rd season. We're coming to you tonight from a sold-out Delta Center in Salt Lake City, Utah, and what a show we have for you tonight. Eddie Vega, we've got nothing, man. Not after that Vanguard main event in St. George. Ben Price, yes, Vanguard had a huge show, their biggest to date with the 6-man elimination match. But tonight we have a huge show as well. We'll have Eddie Williams taking on the NKO's Trelissa Perot. Eddie Vega will also have the War 1 debut of Envy, as they take on the returning Pacific Rim. Keelia Thulnott and Vespertine both in the ring at the same time. Ben Price, Frank Windsor will either be facing off against Mad Morales tonight, or his contract will be nullified and he'll be fired. What do you think about that? Eddie Vega, it sucks. Windsor is one of the bastards. You can't just threaten to fire him. They are the reason why people tune into the CWF. But Mad Morales is also one of the NKO, why are they doing this? Ben Price, to either punish the bastards or try to drive a wedge between Williams and Windsor and Riot. We're also going to have our main event tonight, as the Valor Championship will be on the line. Eddie Vega, Vanguard's prima donna, the Tempest champion, Wicked Cat Hale will be getting a shot at Monster Mammoth's Valor Championship. Of course, another sacrifice as he works his way towards being the 3rd person to get the Valor prize. Ben Price, well, our first match tonight is also something that should be a really good one. As the Dreadnought, Miguel Lanza will be taking on the new and improved modern-day cowboy, Steve Murdoch. Monster Mammoth's music plays as the giant man makes his way down to the ring. The Valor Championship firmly around his waist, much to the chagrin of the normal audience members. Though several of the seats are taken up by more masked members, and each week the number only seems to grow. Mammoth stays sharp, his focus on the ring as he walks down the ramp. Each step is deliberately slow so he can bask in the afterglow of the boos. The cheers. All of the noise. Once he reaches the ring, Mammoth hoists himself up and wipes his boots on the apron. Holding down the top rope so he can climb over. Taking off the Valor Championship and holding it up over his head for the loudest crowd reaction yet. Then, to the side of the ring he calls for a microphone before returning to center with the Valor title draped over his right shoulder. Ben Price, and I guess, before we get started, we're going to hear from Monster Mammoth here tonight. Eddie Vega, well, this should be good. Maybe he's got something to help us top the last Vanguard. Monster Mammoth, as I stand here today, I look around and see an arena full of people and freaks alike. Living side by side in harmony. That sounds like the perfect world, doesn't it? No. Not even close. I want all of you to take a good look around. The person to your right. The person to your left. Each one of them harbors a secret. An inner freak they can't let others see. They're afraid of it. They let the people around them rule them. In that way, none of you will ever be free, but enough of that. Mammoth moves towards the hard cam, leaning his elbows on the top rope whilst he stomps down on the bottom. Monster Mammoth, tonight is a special night for me. You see, the people in the back have allowed me to come out here and give you freaks the entertainment you will sorely miss out on with this next match. Two guys who can't even lace up their ring boots without getting tied in a knot. Though I wouldn't imagine most of you to have an understanding of what it means to captivate. To entertain in this business. After all, we are in Utah. Ben Price, Steve Murdoch beat him, and Miguel Lanza has a pinfall against him. So he's kinda wrong there. Eddie Vega, but they're not the Valor champion. He is. Ben Price, they've not had recent shots at the Valor title either. Letting the crowd finish their cheers and jeers to what he says, Mammoth goes back to the center of the ring. Walking with a swagger one may not expect from the big man. His confidence swells when he goes to speak again. Monster Mammoth, both of these men have been my sworn enemies. We've had our back and forth, but in the end I'm the one with the title. Now they fight tonight for nothing more than whatever applause you'll give to the winner. That isn't very interesting though. So you see, we're going to have a stipulation added to this match. That's right. The winner of this match will become the #1 contender for my Valor Championship. That brings the heat. So without further ado. Eddie Vega, what's he doing? Monster Mammoth, this next match is a contest set for one fall. For the white trash here, this means the first wrestler to score a pinfall or submission will be the winner. Introducing first, from the corner of Washed Up Way and Boring Boulevard. The man who single-handedly lost his relevance and title all at once. The born-again cowboy, Steve Murdoch. Ben Price, so Monster Mammoth is the special ring announcer for this match? Darkness covers the arena as the first few notes of Unforgiven by Metallica play. Steve Murdoch stands at the entryway, a spotlight at his back, casting a long shadow in front of him as he walks down the ramp, climbs into the ring and stands in the center. Eddie Vega, apparently. Eric Wilson getting a bit of a break here tonight. Not sure this was planned. Mammoth stares him down as he enters the ring, and then puts a hand up, signaling he's not done. Monster Mammoth, his opponent. The dumbest sack of shit I've ever met. A man with a shoe size larger than his IQ. When big meets brains, he takes all of the first and none of the second. Give it up for Miguel Lanza. Ben Price, I'm not sure he really wants to be writing those checks he won't be willing to cash. Eddie Vega, hey, one of these people is about to be #1 contender for the Valor title. Ben Price, only if Mammoth wins tonight. Eddie Vega, he's taking on Wicked Cat Hale. He's got this one in the bag. She's the lightweight Tempest champion. As Disturbs Won't Back Down starts to play over the arena's PA system, the big man from Puerto Rico walks out. He raises up his left hand in a fist as he stands there one moment to take in whatever the crowd's reaction may be tonight. Once he's ready, he makes his way down to the ring, occasionally giving the fans what is a very high five for them. Once he gets to the ring, he reaches up and pulls himself to the apron via pulling the top rope. He then enters, stepping over the ropes and starts to get ready for this matchup. Monster Mammoth, I want all good, clean fight. You boys try your best out here. Mammoth mocks. He throws his mic away, and then climbs out of the ring to take a stand over by the timekeeper's table. Referee Troy Reynolds brings both men to the center of the ring, and runs down the rules for them both. As soon as he has confirmation from both of them, he calls for the bell. Ding! Ding! Murdoch moves quickly, coming in at Lanza with a couple of forearms to his chest, backing him up to the ropes. Lanza barely moves with each one, so it takes a good 5 or 6 hits to get him there. Murdoch goes to whip Lanza to the other side, but the big man puts the brakes on easily. Ben Price, and that's where Murdoch is going to have an issue tonight. He's not used to fighting someone this size without it being a hardcore matchup. Eddie Vega, I can't find anything wrong with that note. Murdoch has made hardcore his life. But now he's a cowboy? Lanza tries to pull Murdoch into a whip of his own, but Murdoch manages to grab the top rope to block it. As soon as he lets go of the ropes, he comes right at Lanza, who is slightly bent down. He hits Lanza in the face with a huge knee strike. He quickly grabs Lanza in a front facelock, spins a bit away from the ropes, and drops down for a quick DDT. He floats over and tries for a quick pinfall. 1, 2. Lanza pushes Murdoch off of him with a good bit of authority. Ben Price, a good bit there from Murdoch, but it was too little, and too early to take down the much bigger man. A quick camera shot shows Monster Mammoth giving a golf clap. Eddie Vega, well, Monster Mammoth seems to approve. Murdoch starts to drop forearms and fists down on Lanza, until Lanza lashes out with a huge haymaker-type punch. Murdoch drops to the side, holding his face. Troy Reynolds gets onto Lanza, warning him about use of closed fists as the giant gets to his feet. Ben Price and Miguel Lanza tossing ham-hock-sized fists in there. Lanza gets to his feet and grabs Murdoch as he's getting to his feet. He whips him to the ropes and tries to catch him for a setup for his depth charge finisher, but Murdoch is quick to push off and get out of the hold, even if it means falling awkwardly on his back. Lanza goes to follow up with an elbow drop, but Murdoch rolls out of the way. Eddie Vega, Murdoch has him scouted there. Ben Price, Murdoch playing the game the right way. One way to beat a bigger man is to make sure they don't hit you in the first place with those big power moves. Murdoch comes in as Lanza is getting up from the failed move. He grabs his left arm, pulls it up behind his head, and nails him with a heart punch. Ben Price, and learning a bit from Lanza's last match against Father Nathan. Lanza doesn't fall with the move, only staggers back. Murdoch grabs Lanza and tries to take him over with an exploder suplex, but the big man just shifts his weight and nothing happens. Murdoch tries to lift him up again, but again it's not going to work. Eddie Vega, that's not how you take down a big man like Junior. Murdoch is going to do more damage to his back than he would Lanza. Murdoch switches it up and, trapping Lanza's arms quickly, hits him with a huge headbutt. But after the hit, it's a question as to who took the brunt of the damage, as Murdoch lets go and grabs his forehead, as Lanza reacts as well. Ben Price, only thing that would have been worse on that for Steve Murdoch would be if Lanza was Samoan. Eddie Vega, well, he's Puerto Rican and huge. That could have been a huge mistake there. Lanza shakes his head and falls back to the ropes. Murdoch seems to realize the big man may be staggered and moves in for another attempt. But as he moves in, he's hit with a big kick to the midsection. Lanza comes off the ropes, slipping his arms up under Murdoch's to get him into a butterfly hold. He lifts Murdoch up vertical with it, and holds on just for a moment. Ben Price, and now, he's going to get hit, instead of dodging or avoiding that big move. Lanza takes 3 steps back into the middle of the ring and drops Murdoch down with a huge double underhook brainbuster. Lanza gets back up, quickly, and runs to one side. He comes off the ropes and heads right for Murdoch. Murdoch tries to duck out of the way from what looked at first like an incoming clothesline, but instead gets hit with a kitchen sink knee lift that stands him back up vertical. Eddie Vega and Junior just cleaned Murdoch's clock with that knee lift. Lanza hooks Murdoch for a runnage slam, but brings him down across his knee, instead of hitting the mat. Lanza quickly grabs Murdoch to bring him back up to his feet. He scoops him up over his shoulder and goes running across the ring, to hit a running power slam. Ben Price, and now I feel sorry for Steve Murdoch. Lanza, staying on his knees, pulls Murdoch away from any ropes and tries for a quick cover. 1, 2. Murdoch twists to get his shoulder up. Eddie Vega, that one was close but not close enough. Lanza shakes his head as he gets up. He takes a few steps back. Murdoch gets up to his feet, slowly, near the corner. Lanza comes running in, and Murdoch feints, ducking low, and grabbing Lanza in a front waistlock. He manages to lift him up and drop him across the top rope in a snake eyes. As Lanza falls back, Murdoch grabs his head and arm, slipping him into a dragon sleeper. Ben Price, now this is a good tactic for Murdoch to use. Eddie Vega, starve a big man of oxygen, and you can win a match against him. Murdoch tries to keep the hold cinched in, and Reynolds comes in to check on Lanza. He lifts his free hand, and it stays up. Ben Price, he's not letting it go, Miguel Lanza will be out of it soon. Murdoch is getting a shot at the Valor Championship next week, if. Eddie Vega, he's right over there. Don't say anything like that. Ben Price, you're right. Lanza's hand starts to droop down, and Reynolds says something, and then lifts it up again. It goes up and stays up. Lanza then tries to hit Murdoch with that hand a couple of times, wrapping it around his back, targeting his kidney and lower back. One hit seems to make Murdoch flinch a bit, but the hits lessen in intensity after a moment. Ben Price, some fight there, but it's waning. Again Reynolds gives a few seconds, and then says something again to Murdoch, and raises Lanza's hand again. This time it droops back down, about halfway, then stays there, and starts to shake. Ben Price, it didn't drop and stay down. Eddie Vega, I'm not sure this is good for Murdoch here. Lanza again delivers a couple of hits to Murdoch's lower back. Again Murdoch flinches. Lanza starts to move his legs, and leans a bit forward, taking a lot of the pressure off. He wraps that free arm around Murdoch's waist, pulling him more onto his shoulder. Then he gets one foot free, moving to be only on one knee, and he starts to stand up. Ben Price, now where he wants to be. Move Murdoch. Murdoch releases the hold and pushes off Lanza's back. Murdoch grabs Lanza's arm and tries to ripcord him with a short arm lariat, but Lanza blocks it by scooping him up and twisting into a huge power slam. Eddie Vega, big power slam blocks an attempt at the Yellow Rose of Texas. Ben Price, and he gets squished with that block as well. Lanza stands up and then grabs Murdoch by his hair, pulling him up to a bent-over stance. He pulls him in and lifts him up high for a powerbomb. He tosses him forward with the powerbomb, sending him to the middle of the ring. Ben Price, and a powerbomb with some authority there. Lanza keeps on it, coming in and again pulling his opponent to his feet. He whips Murdoch to the ropes, and heads to the other side. He catches Murdoch in the middle of the ring with a huge shoulder tackle-style spear. Ben Price, and it's torpedoes away on Steve Murdoch. Lanza pulls Murdoch up again, and this time he pulls him in for another powerbomb. He pulls him up and holds it, hooking his hands behind Murdoch's head. Eddie Vega, what's he going for here? Ben Price, I believe he calls this the missile launcher. And at that, Lanza falls backwards, launching Murdoch towards the turnbuckle from that powerbomb setup. Murdoch hits the turnbuckle and crumples to the mat. Lanza rolls, and crawls over. He quickly pulls Murdoch in for a pinfall, hooking the leg just in case. 1, 2, 3. Reynolds calls for the bell. Ding! 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 Eric Wilson, the winner of this match. The Dreadnought, Miguel Lanza, Jr. Ben Price, and there goes the Valor champion. As Lanza gets up to his feet, Reynolds takes his arm and holds it up. And he's quickly hit in the back by Monster Mammoth, with the Valor title belt. As soon as Lanza is down, he starts to stomp on him. Eddie Vega, well, Miguel Lanza is supposed to be the new #1 contender to Monster Mammoth's Valor title, and he just jumped him in the ring. Ben Price, we'd expect no less from him. Mammoth drops the title down, and drops himself down on Lanza to start a ground and pound. And then the crowd lights up as two people run out from the back. Kelia and Aklat Flunot, the Pacific Rim tag team who are also members of the Upstarts with Miguel Lanza. Eddie Vega, and here come the Spoil Sports. The twins hit the ring, Aklat sliding under the ropes, and Kelia leaping up to the ring apron, and then getting ready to slingshot in. Aklat quickly grabs Monster Mammoth and pulls him up to his feet. He then starts to hammer Mammoth on his chest and face with forearms and punches, taking him back to the ropes. Kelia keeps yelling at Lanza from the apron, and he starts to get up. Mammoth starts to fight back against Aklat, getting in a couple of good shots. Ben Price, the Upstarts are starting to really take it to those who would want to mess with them. They are a 5-person stable. Eddie Vega, 4-person. Ben Price, Oni, the twins, Lanza and Dresden. Eddie Vega, Dresden is part of the NKO now. Ben Price, she still wears Upstarts colors, and travels with them. She's only part of the NKO for a bit. But she's in 2 stables right now. Doesn't matter with her anyway tonight. She's suspended. Lanza gets up and moves into where Oklot and Mammoth are both fighting. Lanza comes in and starts to fight the Valor champion as well. Both of the upstarts giants pull Mammoth into the middle of the ring, and each taking a side, lift him up by the shoulder and one leg each. Eddie Vega, not sure this is how Mammoth wanted it to happen. Kelia brings herself up to the top rope and then comes off, twisting in mid-air, and puts both of her knees to Mammoth's chest, as the other two let him go. Ben Price, Miguel Lanza and Oklot Flunot lift the big man up, and a Tunguska event double knee takes him down. Mad Morales hits the ring, but he's greeted by both of the upstart giants. The distraction allows Monster Mammoth to roll out of the ring. As soon as Morales notices his partner is safe, he backtracks out, and slides out under the bottom rope to get some space between him and the upstarts. Eddie Vega, I'm sure the NKO are listening, and they don't have Dresden here tonight because of her suspension. But maybe make sure that the person you're going to attack doesn't have the rest of their stable who is here coming out for the next matchup? Ben Price, that's one thing to consider in a war. Where are their allies? Also, what will that do to Mammoth's chances against Cat Hale in tonight's main event? He just took 2 knees to the chest. That might have an effect later on. Eddie Vega, I could point out more for the NKO to succeed, but not sure my broadcast partner would like me to do that. Ben Price, why would you do that? Eddie Vega, trying to change the odds on matches when they're announced for Desperate Warfare? We're going to be in Vegas, you think I'm not placing some bets? The Hamixide gang both head back up the ramp, deciding that in this instant, discretion might be a better part of valor. Ben Price, I'm being told that since Pacific Rim are going to be in the next matchup, taking on Envy, the team of Vespertine and Carly Nash, they're going to just stay in the ring and not do an entrance. As if by magic, the lights to the entire arena flash off, as purple flames begin to border the stage and ramp. The Titantron begins to play something, shadows writhe, and yet more purple flames flicker, this time within the video displayed on the focus of many an entrance movie before now. It spreads across the screens of our dear viewers' devices with a wave of purple fire, as shrieks and wails of pain begin to sound play, with rattling chains and growling dogs in the background. The camera focuses on a world cloaked in shadow and fire, an infernal landscape, almost ripped from the pages of myth. A figure stands in the shadows, broad-chested and ready for battle as an ominous, baritone voice begins to narrate through the darkness. Voice, some say that Hades guards the underworld, that the souls within the river Styx are under his protection. What they don't tell you, however, is that his hound is the one that keeps the gates. The video shifts from the mythical scenes to a more brutal reality. Stuttered images of the figure from earlier, stood in the middle of the ring, his piercing eyes looking directly into the camera, almost as if they looked beyond, directly into the soul of every single viewer. As a heavy metal track begins to rip and tear, quick flashes show his dominance, bone-crunching strikes, spine-snapping submissions, powerfully technical offense personified. His growls echo in slow motion, animalistic and raw before the narration continues. Voice, to step into MY Ring, is to step into the pit. And there is no escape. Your sins, your weakness, your arrogance, I will tear them apart. You won't survive the Hound of Hades, one day, it will serve him. A wrestler is picked up onto the broad-chested wrestler's shoulders, his neck placed ominously near his shoulder. Dropping to his knees, the tall wrestler lets out a roar, his opponent bouncing painfully off his shoulder and down to the mat. Flames engulf the scene, leaving just the piercing eyes, an ominous focus behind them as one final line of narration is uttered. Voice, unleashed. Unstoppable. Unforgiving. The Hound of Hades is coming. The faint sound of chains rattling lingers as the screen fades, leaving the audience breathless in anticipation. Ben Price, and a promo for a newcomer to the CWF, someone looking to make an impact right off the bat. Eddie Vega, we can look forward to having the Hound of Hades on next Vanguard. Where he belongs, instead of them stealing all the top talent for a useless elimination match. Ben Price, hey, the CWF doesn't have a split roster. And Vanguard had its biggest show ever. We're all one team here. Eddie Vega, did you hear those two on Vanguard telling us to suck it that they had that main event? Ben Price, of course I did. Some friendly competition. Besides, thought you won some money on the elimination match? Eddie Vega, I did. But we didn't get to call it. They stole our big moment. Ben Price, we've called every other big match in CWF's life. They had one big match. Eddie is silent for a moment. Ben Price, well, before the Hound of Hades vignette, we already have the team that was the inaugural tag team champions, Pacific Rim, in the ring after they came out and saved their stablemate from a beatdown at the hands of the Valor champion, Monster Mammoth, and they're now going to be facing the new tag team of Envy, Vespertine and Carly Nash. Eric Wilson, the following tag team matchup is scheduled for one fall. Introducing first, already in the ring. They are a former one-time CWF Tag Team Championship team. They come in at a combined weight of 465 pounds. Hailing from Ketchikan, Alaska by way of Oahu, Hawaii. Representing the Upstarts. They are the fraternal twin team of Keelia and Aklat Flunot. Pacific Rim. Keelia climbs the corner and motions to the crowd, while her brother poses in the ring. Ben Price, Aklat Flunot, coming back after rehabbing a small shoulder injury. This is the first time we're seeing this team in the ring in about 6 months or so. Eddie Vega, and we're all here for Keelia Flunot in the ring. Her brother, not so much. Ben Price, that's kinda rude. The opening bridge of Knuckle Up by Snowgoon start up, and after minute or so, that fades to the starting riff of Sick by the Warning, indicating the two entrance themes of both women. The arena lights go down and a single spotlight comes up, and then We Will Rock You by In This Moment. Eric Wilson and their opponents. On the Tron comes up images of Carly and Vespertine wrestling, and Carly brawling with various opponents and Vespertine flying off various things to take out various opponents. Interspersed are images of Carly playing hockey and checking opponents, and Vespertine driving her cars and doing side shows and street racing. From below the ring, the trapdoor with an entire pulpit comes up with Carly standing behind, arms outstretched as if basking in the light of God. On either side of her stand Hilda Meyer and Tracy Dixon. The pulpit in front of her is uniquely dark, and on it are 2 candles with Vespertine standing head bowed and in Buddhist prayer. She looks up and we see her eyes are deep dark black. She steps off the trapdoor and waits at the top of the entrance ramp. Carly goes into darkness as she goes around the pulpit and reappears right next to Vespertine. Carly has arms outstretched as if asking for her God for help. Vespertine holds out on fist towards the audience as if to encompass their souls. They start off and walk in time to the music. Carly gets to the ring, goes up the steps and goes through the ropes. Vespertine goes up the opposite steps, goes to the middle of the ropes, and flips over them, dropping into a Melina-type splits. The lights are still low as both women get to the center of the ring. We will rock you. We will rock you. We will rock you. Eric Wilson, hailing from the San Francisco, California and Grand Marais, Minnesota respectively, at 5 feet 5 inches and 5 feet 11 inches at a total combined weight of 272 pounds, they are the premier athlete Carly Nash and the well-rounded fighting machine, Vespertine. They are ENVYYYYYYYYYYY. Then when it goes into the ending bridge of the song, they suddenly pose. Carly stands at 5 feet 11 inches and Vespertine poses low in front of her at 5 feet 5 inches, but both have arms out and up. The lights come back up and Vespertine bows her head to take off her hood, where when she comes back up, her eyes have returned to normal. She goes to stand in the far corner with Carly to discuss team tactics with Hilda and Tracy listening in. Ben Price, the tail of the tape here, surely puts the advantage on the side of Pacific Rim. Aklat Flunot is bigger than both members of Envy and his sister combined. Eddie Vega, well, tonight has a couple battles that could be proverbial David versus Goliaths. Sadly, Steve Murdoch already lost to one giant. Envy have an uphill battle, and that hill is named Aklat Flunot. Ben Price, have to say, it's not looking good for Kat Hale later on when she faces Monster Mammoth for the Valor Championship. Referee Georgina Ross asks for each team to pick a person, and both of them come to the center of the ring. For Pacific Rim, Keelia Flutnot starts, and for Envy, it's Vespertine. Ross explains the rules to both and then tells the other two to get outside the ring. Before the bell rings, suddenly there is some commotion coming from the crowd, a chorus of boos. Armand von Kraus steps out onto the stage area, and lights up one of his cigarettes. He then motions for Ross to start the match, as he stands there, watching. Ben Price, What's this? Armand von Kraus? What's he doing out here? Eddie Vega, well, we know that he's been scouting Envy. He even told Monster Mammoth that they were potential allies a couple of shows ago. Ben Price, oh, that's right. Ross finishes up, and then signals for the bell. Ding! Ding! Vespertine starts, lashing out with a quick snap kick that catches Kelia in the midsection. When Kelia bends over, Vespertine goes backwards and hits the ropes. Just as Kelia is standing back up, Vespertine hits the ropes next to her, and nails her with a leaping enziguri. Ben Price, well, in the battle of people of equal size, Vespertine starts this off right away. Eddie Vega, maybe she's wanting that invite into the NKO and the Von Kraus rub. Vespertine drops down and takes Kelia over with a leg sweep. She then snaps back up to her feet, and hits the ropes for a springboard-style moonsault. She quickly rolls Kelia over and goes for a pin. Ross slides into place, and checks Kelia's shoulders. 1. 2. Kelia gets her shoulder up. Vespertine pulls Kelia up, and starts to pull her towards her corner. She whips Kelia into Envy's corner, and then pulls back. Nash leans back as Vespertine grabs the ropes on the other side of her. Both members of Envy hit Kelia in the head with stereo Muay Thai style kicks to the head, one to each side. Ben Price and Envy showing some teamwork here. Kelia appears to be stunned, and she steps out of the corner, weak-kneed style. When she falls forward, she rolls with it, into a somersault. She pops up out of it as Vespertine is launching herself after her. Ben Price, and looks like Kelia Thlunot was playing possum. Kelia dives and tags in her brother. When she hits the mat, she rolls to the apron. Vespertine comes almost all of the way into the corner, but puts her hands up when Aklat starts to climb in front of her. Vespertine turns, drops to her knee and then lunges back to her corner. She also tags in her partner as Aklat slowly walks towards them. Eddie Vega, that was the right move there, Vespertine. If he catches one of them, it'll be over. Nash doesn't hesitate, she climbs into the ring and goes running right at her much bigger opponent. She catches Aklat with a huge knee to his midsection, and then whips him into their corner. She moves in and starts to put the boots to his midsection repeatedly. Slowly as she kicks him repeatedly, he slips down until he's seated in their corner. Nash backs up as soon as he's down. Ben Price and Envy quickly neutralizes the big man in their corner. Vespertine grabs Aklat's arm and pulls it through the second and top rope. She drops down with a big shoulder pull. At the same time, Nash comes in and hits him with a dropkick that slams his head against the second turnbuckle. Vespertine climbs back up and slips into the ring. Eddie Vega, so far it's been all Envy. Von Kraus should be impressed so far. Both members of Envy pulls Aklat up to his feet. As Ross warns them about both being in the ring, they pull Aklat into a double front facelock. They try for a double DDT, but they don't budge. Ben Price, double Dutch DDT blocked. Nash starts to deliver some knee lifts to Aklat. After the third one, he lashes out and catches Vespertine in the midsection with a huge fist. She lets go and stumbles back, holding her stomach. Aklat then wraps his arms around Nash, scooping her up for a body slam. He drops her down and then gets moving towards the ropes. He comes off, steps over Nash, and slams a shoulder into Vespertine. She launches back and slams into her own corner turnbuckle. Eddie Vega, and now the Sea Wolf, is on the hunt. Aklat turns back to Nash as she gets up. He runs at the closest ropes to her, comes off and puts one hand to her solar plexus, and the other to her hip. He lifts and twists, tossing her across the ring towards his corner. Ben Price, and a power shot by the big guy just sent Carly Nash flying across the ring. When Nash lands, Kelia slingshots over the ropes and lands with a big leg drop. She quickly rolls out of the ring. Aklat stomps over to his corner, and pulls Nash back up to her feet. He quickly gives her a few knee lifts of his own. The last one launches her back into Pakrim's corner. He high-fives his sister, to tag her back in. As he climbs out, he grabs Nash's arm and drops down to the floor with it to return the favor Vespertine did to him earlier. Ben Price, and that quick, the twins are in control. Aklat pulls Nash out of the corner and brings her into a big bear hug lift. He squeezes for a moment and then launches her over his head in an overhead belly-to-belly suplex. She lands on the mat and rolls to the apron. Aklat heads over and tags his sister back in. Eddie Vega, well, that'll give Envy a chance to recoup. As much as I like to watch her wrestle, we all know she's the weak link in Pacific Rim. After her incident with Kara Reinhardt when they lost the title belts, Kelia slips into the ring quickly and starts to run the ropes. As Nash starts to get up, Kelia somersaults over her and hits her with a neck breaker. Vespertine hops to the top turnbuckle and comes off with a senton that lands squarely on Kelia's chest. Nash gets up and quickly pulls Kelia up and scoops her into a fireman's carry. She hits a Death Valley driver, and then starts to look for another tag. Vespertine quickly hops over the ropes and tags back in. Ben Price, well, you might be partially right there. Kelia Thlunot isn't as big of a threat as her brother. Vespertine hits the ropes and comes off as Kelia is coming to her feet. She tries for a running Yakuza kick, but Kelia slips into a basement dropkick that hits Vespertine's support leg. Vespertine falls into a partial split. Kelia kips up to her feet and heads for the ropes. She pulls back on the top rope from the inside and looks over her shoulder. As Vespertine gets up, Kelia leaps to the ROP rope, and then springboards off, backwards. She twists and grabs Vespertine's head, hitting a 720 DDT that spikes her to the mat. Eddie Vega, okay, that could be a tide turner here. Carly Nash rushes into the ring and grabs Kelia as she gets up. She scoops her up and then drops down into a backbreaker across her knee. Nash keeps a hold of Kelia as she comes up. She quickly backs up and then tosses Kelia over the top rope with a fallaway slam to the outside. Ben Price, and that could be a nasty fall as well. Kelia appears to have caught the second rope and landed on her feet. In the ring, Aklat rushes in to try to counter Nash. He's met by a double drop kick that staggers him. Vespertine then hits the ropes behind him and comes in with a low drop kick of her own to the back of his knee. Eddie Vega, well, that'll take a big guy down. Nash gets in front of Aklat and starts to deliver knees to his head and shoulders, while Vespertine starts to kick at his back, using cutting kicks for maximum impact. Ben Price, now they just need to soften him up a bit. The question is, how would they get that big guy up for a team finisher? Eddie Vega, well, Carly Nash has to be able to lift them for any of their team finishers. So Envy is going to have to adapt and overcome. The CWF's equal gender rules on tag teams going to make some things difficult. And most of the men would have trouble lifting Aklat Thlunot off his feet, let alone hold him for someone else to make a move to assist his takedown. Ben Price, that's some really deep analysis there, Eddie. Eddie Vega, I need to know these things to make good bets, man. Kelia comes up onto the apron from the outside while both members of Envy are putting the boots to her brother. She calls out something, sounding like their native Tlingit. Aklat grabs Nash's head and pulls her into a huge headbutt, and then shoves her back as she staggers from it. The shove pushes her backwards towards the ropes that Kelia is near. Kelia grabs the top rope and pulls down, almost laying down on the ring apron, and Nash tumbles over, all the way to the outside. Ben Price, Kelia Thlunot getting back into this, and I do believe she is the legal person in the ring right now, as well. Her and Vespertine are the legal combatants. Eddie Vega, well, Ross has lost control of this match anyway. Who cares who is legal? As Aklat positions Vespertine into a corner, Kelia runs in and spears her. She lands on her knees, and does a back roll to come back up to her feet. Ross starts another 5 count with multiple people in the ring just as Aklat grabs Vespertine and whips her to the ropes. Kelia also runs to the same ropes, both bounce off in unison. 5. Aklat catches Vespertine into a full lift military press up over his head. 4. Aklat steps out from under Vespertine, letting her fall to the mat. 3. Kelia rolls Vespertine over and goes for a pin. Ross is still counting for 2 people in the ring on one team. Ben Price, what's he doing? 2. Kelia hits the other side and springboards backwards and lands on Vespertine's back with a double knee. She quickly moves to roll Vespertine over, and goes for a pin. Ben Price, what the hell was that? Eddie Vega, something new from the gymnastic adrenaline junkie. 1. Aklat steps out over the top rope, and Ross finally starts to count the pinfall. Eddie Vega, finally, but did he give Vespertine time to recover? 1. 2. Carly Nash slides back into the ring. 3. Nash falls onto Kelia, attempting to break up the pin, but is just too late. Ding! 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 Ben Price, they did it! What a return to form for the original CWF Tag Team Champions. Eric Wilson, your winners. Pacific Rim. Armand Von Kraus is shown shaking his head and leaving the stage. Eddie Vega, I don't think that Armand Von Kraus was too happy with that performance. Aklat re-enters the ring before things break down again. Kelia backs off from where Vespertine is laying, as the Pac Rim twins both celebrate their win. They're soon rejoined by Miguel Lanza, who comes out to celebrate with them. Ben Price, the upstarts are going strong tonight. That's 2 out of 2. Eddie Vega, and so far Goliath has won both Mutt and Jeff style matches. Really glad I didn't bet on Cat Hale for tonight's main event. Ben Price, and that takes us to our first commercial tonight. When we come back, the NKO's Trelisa Perreault is taking on the Bastards' own Eddie Williams. Eddie Vega, Bastards going to beat down the NKO as well. You know that's another thing for the main event Valor title match. Who does Cat Hale have to help her if the NKO get involved? Ben Price, not something I really want to think about, so let's pay some bills. BMW. Boston Motor and Wagons. Not the German BMW, we don't invade countries. The show comes back, with the cameras showing Eric Wilson ready in the ring. Ben Price, welcome back to Warzone. We're ready to start our next match, Eddie Williams taking on Trelisa Perreault. Eddie Vega, I'm not sure about Trelisa being part of the NKO, but she is. And I'm torn on this match. I mean, what is she going to do to the future Conquest champion? Ben Price, Eddie Vega is heading for Desperate Warfare, where he will be one of 2 challengers to face Cronin Reinhardt for the Conquest Championship. We're 2 shows away from Las Vegas, so he sorely needs a win here tonight. Eddie Vega, Eddie is ready. Eric Wilson, the following contest is scheduled for 1 fall. Featuring first, hailing from Paris, France, she is Trelisa Perreault. As Hand Clap by Fitz and the Tantrums hits the arena, it darkens, and neon colors light the stage and ramp. Trelisa moves onto the stage under a spotlight. Trelisa wears a different elaborate designer jacket each time she takes the stage, as well as a pair of sunglasses. Turn it up. As the first words hit, Trelisa takes hold of her sunglasses and casts them off her face. She walks down the ramp, and a spotlight follows her, lighting her way. She moves with all the grace of a model on a walkway. As she walks, she lifts her arms out, and then points them in the direction she's walking. She's like a queen taking to the stage, and the audience is her domain until she reaches the bottom of the ramp. I can make your hands clap. At that, Trelisa her hand and claps along with the song. The audience joins in, and Trelisa begins a slow walk around to the south side of the ring. Climbing onto the apron, she'll sway her hips in a dancer's manner, and she'll take a moment to blow a kiss to a fan in the front row, bringing her index and middle finger to her lips as she does so. Finally, she slips into the ring, spinning with a dancer's flair, before turning and moving back toward the opposite corner. Once more the song announces it can make the audience's hands clap, and they clap along. Every night when the stars come out. Climbing to the second rope, Trelisa gracefully dips, leaning forward and reaching a hand up as if she were stretching her arms to the heavens, with the only light in the arena coming from the spotlight on her and the phones from the audience, their lit phones making it seem like she is surrounded by stars. At last, she climbs down and gets ready for the match. If she's the second to enter the ring, she'll blow a second kiss, this one aimed at her opponent. Ben Price, Trelisa looking to get in Eddie's way tonight since Eddie had stated that the NKO had better stay out of his way. Eddie Vega, I'm sure she's also looking to avenge her loss to Natalia Santiago. Ben Price, that too. Maybe that is first and foremost. Eddie Vega, yeah. Eric Wilson, and her opponent, hailing from Cambridge, England, he is Eddie Williams. The ramp starts to flood with smoke. A figure appears in the entranceway with his arms crossed. A series of fireworks go off along the top of the entrance ramp. The light adjusts back to normal. Eddie starts to walk down the ramp. He slowly and methodically makes his way toward the ring, bathing in the reaction of the fans within the arena. Eddie enters the ring standing with his arms raised and fireworks go off from the 4 turnbuckles. Walking over to the furthest turnbuckle and climbs up to the middle rope. He looks out across the crowd. As his music dies down, he waits near the corner, pacing back and forth ready for the match to start. Ben Price, Eddie fresh off of his win with Rob Riott over Bad Company when they took the CWF Tag Team Championship from them. One might say that he stole the win while others were fighting the NKO. Eddie Vega, Eddie knew what the job was. It wasn't fight the NKO. It was defeat Bad Company. That's what he went out there to do, and that's what he did. Ben Price, well, tonight he is facing the NKO directly after warning them to stay out of his way. This has got Armand all over it. Eddie Vega, and Eddie is going to teach them a lesson they won't forget. Trelisa meets Eddie in the center of the ring and acts like she's going to lock up with him. When Eddie gets near, she stomps on his foot to prompt him, lifting it up and hop on the other foot. She then stomps him in the knee of the leg he's bouncing on to take it out from under him. A quick leg drop to the back of the neck drives Eddie's face into the mat. Ben Price, what a cheap move. Eddie Vega, and we have bloodshed in the opening seconds of the match from that. Eddie gets up and growls as he wipes at his bloody nose with the back of his hand. He lashes out at Trelisa with his fists, but Trelisa sidesteps and hits a sidekick, taking Eddie in the same knee and dropping him to the mat. Eddie gets up to his knees and is grabbed by Trelisa, who pops him in the face with a knee lift and sends him tumbling back to the mat. Eddie rolls through and back to his feet. He grabs Trelisa from the front and throws her over his shoulder with an overhead release belly-to-belly suplex. Trelisa tries to get back up right away, but is pinned down with stomps and kicks from Eddie. Eddie waits until Trelisa manages to get up to her knees and grabs her, hitting a snap DDT. He goes for the quick cover, referee, Scott Jones, getting into position. 1. Trelisa kicks out. Eddie kneels up and grabs Trelisa by the hair to pull her up into a seated position. He looks to slam the back of her head into the mat when she strikes out quickly and pokes him in both eyes to get him to release her. She gets up to her feet and nails the kneeling Eddie with a roundhouse kick to lay him out on the mat. She grabs him by the legs and pulls him toward the center of the ring, where she applies a knee bar to the leg that she's kicked. Eddie lets out a cry of pain and Scott Jones goes to check to see if he will submit, but he refuses. After a few seconds, Trelisa releases the hold and applies a figure 4 leg lock, keeping pressure on that same knee. Eddie does not submit and indeed rolls them both over, reversing the move. Trelisa quickly releases the hold and gets back to her feet while Eddie is slower to get up. Ben Price, Eddie isn't going to be able to run or even stand if Trelisa keeps this up. Eddie Vega, I think that's the idea. Trelisa presses her assault with a dropkick to the knee that she's been working on, taking Eddie right off of his feet. Trelisa grabs Eddie by the leg and applies a spinning toe hold, finishing the move with an elbow drop to the side of the knee that sets Eddie into a new world of pain. She then waits for him to get up and grabs him around the waist to lift him up while bending his hurt knee. She then comes down to the mat, driving his knee into it. Eddie bounces away from her, curling up into a ball and clutching at his leg. Trelisa gets a smug expression and walks over to pull him up, but he pulls her down into a jawbreaker. Ben Price, Eddie finds the strength to battle back. Eddie Vega, yes. The grim bastard is going to win the day. Eddie gets up and limps over to the fallen Trelisa. He gets her up, hitting a cradle piledriver. He goes for a punt kick to the face, nailing it, and sending blood and spittle splattering across the mat. He pulls Trelisa up and shoves her head between his legs. He goes to lift her up when she gets her hands on both knees, squeezes for leverage, and brings the back of her head up against his crotch in a low blow. Eddie releases her and backs up a few limping steps. Trelisa palm strikes the kneecap of the knee she's been working on, bringing Eddie to the mat. She stands up and jumps on the wounded knee of Eddie with both heels, bringing out a shout of pain. Ben Price, I wonder if Eddie is going to be able to walk after this match. Eddie Vega, sure seems like she won't. Trelisa drags Eddie to the center of the ring and applies the unlucky 13 leg lock, modified figure 4. Scott Jones checks to see if Eddie will submit, but he refuses. Eddie reaches for the ropes, but they are out of reach. Ben Price, there's no getting out of this move. Eddie should just pack it in. Eddie Vega, his pride won't let him, his stupid pride. It isn't long before Eddie is lying down and still, passed out from the pain. Scott Jones checks his arm and it drops 3 times. He signals for the bell to be sounded. Eric Wilson, winner of the match, Trelisa Perot. Trelisa releases the hold and stands up with her arms in the air. She rubs her jaw a moment and decides to punt kick Eddie in the face. Eddie sits up quickly, gagging on the blood that was streaming down his throat. He spits blood out and glares at Trelisa, who just shrugs and exits the ring. Ben Price, the NKO, picks up a victory over the bastards tonight. Eddie Vega, yeah. I would have thought that Trelisa was still above the cheap moves she used in this match, but I guess not. Ben Price, she did join the bad guys. Eddie Vega, yeah, I suppose. Ben Price, and we're heading to the backstage area, really quick. Backstage at the office of Armand von Kraus, Armand is going through some files on the computer while Esmeralda looks at her smartphone with a growing frustration. Armand looks up from his work to see Esmeralda with some concern. Armand von Kraus, what is the matter, my love? Esmeralda von Kraus, some of my judges have not checked in. Some of my more trusted judges who stayed beyond their allotted time with me. Armand von Kraus, I'm sure they are busy with their missions that you have set up for them, my love. There is a knock at the door. Esmeralda drops her phone and her hand flies to her thigh where she has her upholstery needles. Armand holds out a hand with a smile. Armand von Kraus, it's okay. We are co-owners of a business. People are bound to come. Enter. A man in the Fed UPS uniform walks into the room with a dolly that has 4 boxes on it. Fed UPS man, for deliveries for Esmeralda von Kraus. I need you to sign this phone. Esmeralda looks at the boxes curiously and signs on the phone. She grabs the top box and sits down with it as the Fed UPS man leaves. Esmeralda von Kraus, I wonder what could have been sent to me? She opens the top of the box and her eyes go wide with grief. Esmeralda von Kraus, what is the meaning of this? Has Riot attacked my goddesses? Armand von Kraus, what is it? Esmeralda sets the box down on the desk and Armand looks in. Inside the box is insulation, dry ice, and the severed head of Minerva. Armand sucks in air through his teeth. Armand von Kraus, I would assume that the rest of the boxes would be the rest of your goddesses? And Minerva was your best? Esmeralda von Kraus, technically, D remains my best, but yes. She was the best active judge. Riot will pay. Armand von Kraus, murder isn't really Rob Riot style, my love. Look, a note. Esmeralda von Kraus, what? Let me see. Armand fishes the note out of the box and hands it to Esmeralda, though he frowns as he does so. Armand von Kraus, you should have let me read that first. Esmeralda von Kraus, it will be fine. Very little in this world can threaten us in a way that should have us worried. She opens the note and reads it out loud. Esmeralda von Kraus, dear Esmeralda, by now you will have seen that the last of your goddesses have been slain by my hand. Meet me at midnight tonight at Randall Pier or I begin hunting Valkyries. Jasmine Minton. P.S. Come alone. I'm a witch. I will know. Esmeralda von Kraus, I rescued those women, the Valkyries, from abusive servitude from a trio of hags. No. She cannot be allowed to bring harm to them, darling. I have to go, for them. Armand von Kraus, you know that it's a trap? She means to do you harm, alone in the darkness by the salt sea. Esmeralda von Kraus, I can handle myself, darling. I will have this phone with me. Track me, darling. Do you know how? Armand von Kraus, I don't like these devices, but I can use them. Yes, I can track you. Esmeralda von Kraus, Jasmine will pay for what she has done. Armand von Kraus, good hunting. Esmeralda smiles, partially climbing onto the desk instead of going around to plant a kiss on Armand's lips. Esmeralda von Krauss, I always get my target, darling. Armand von Krauss, yes, my love. Armand watches Esmeralda leave the office, gripping the side of the new desk, parts of the desk crumble into pieces from his grip. Armand von Krauss, Jasmine better not harm her. Ben Price, was that a head? Eddie Vega, stage magic. Movie props. Nothing more, nothing less. Right streaming partner? Ben Price, that would explain why Jasmine Minton didn't show up for Murdoch's match. Not that she wanted Miguel Lanza to get his revenge on her. Eddie Vega, that does explain some things. Ben Price, well, while we deal with this information, let's go ahead and get to one more commercial. When we come back, will Frank Windsor fight or be fired? Eddie Vega, I don't like that stipulation, at all. Fed UPS. Day or night? For when you need it there. Right TF now. The show comes back with the camera on the announcers. Ben Price, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're ready for our fourth match tonight. Mad Morales will be in action, maybe. Eddie Vega, come on, you think Frank Windsor is not going to wrestle? Ben Price, well, as I understand it, he's not medically cleared. But he and Mad Morales have been taking shots at each other. Top it off, of course Monster Mammoth has been involved as well. But the key here is, Armand von Krauss has claimed that Windsor is faking it, and if he doesn't compete tonight, he will be fired. Eddie Vega, why would he do that to one of his top stars? Ben Price, well, I have it on good authority, that von Krauss would like to steal Frank Windsor's theme for the NKO. Eddie Vega, what? Welcome to the circus by Disturbed, wait, oh, shit. Ben Price, yup. Eddie Vega, come on, that can't be it. Ben Price, don't know for sure, but we do know what Armand von Krauss said in the card announcement. But let's go to the ring, and see how this turns out. Eric Wilson, the following matchup is scheduled for one fall. First to the ring, at 5 feet 10 inches, 190 pounds, from Norfolk, Virginia, Mad Morales. King Scar by Scaroxford starts to play. As the music hits, the arena darkens as the lights switch to a strobing red. As all the lights start to merge into one as it slowly goes up the ramp, it shows Morales, hands crossed under his navel and his head down. As the song hits the 28-second mark, the lights strobe on beat, as Morales hits a new pose each time until jumping and landing at the final strobe at 37 seconds. He then vibes out to the song, moving with a bounce on beat, rocking out with fans who join into his grunge aesthetic, jeering and taunting fans who boo or show dissatisfaction to his antics. He pauses at the ring and leaps and slides horizontal under the ring before kipping up with his index fingers pointed like horns on his head, holding the stance for a few seconds before climbing the opposite turnbuckle and pointing one finger like a horn on his head and one into the sky. Ben Price, so, if Frank Windsor can compete tonight, this is going to be an amazing match, Eddie. The match has been brewing for a while depending on who's in the match. Eddie Vega, that's so true Joseph, but is either of them in fighting condition? Ben Price, did you see Frank backstage? Eddie Vega, yeah, he didn't seem in a good way. Ben Price, we will see what he's like in a moment. Cameras pan around the sea of anxious people who are cheering loudly at the showing of respect towards the bastards. Suddenly, the cheering explodes as the loudspeakers crackle, all attention devoted to these very special proceedings. A large British flag unfolds from the rafters and hangs majestically over the ring area, each ear expecting to hear the music of Frank Windsor. The big screen started to show all sorts of British iconic sights. Children playing in the streets, football matches, police in the streets. The first few bars of Hello by Adele blares out before it seamlessly mixes into Welcome to the Circus by Five Finger Death Punch. Brilliant silver strobe lights flash through the arena as rainbow-colored confetti falls from the rafters. The screen now goes to show footage of Frank in his silver Mercedes convertible cruising the streets of Bradford, Yorkshire. Eric Wilson, introducing at this time, hailing from Bradford, Yorkshire, England. He is weighing in at 222 pounds. This is the Sultan of Schlong style, it is Frank Windsor. The fans give a standing ovation to the bastard, Frank Windsor. This soon stops as they realize he is still sitting in a wheelchair and is being pushed by Finn Corbin. Frank brings up a microphone. Natalia Santiago walks beside them. Frank Windsor, my name is Frank Windsor and today we are here to protest the management of this company for putting me in a match when I have got a doctor's note that states that I am medically unfit to compete. There is a loud cheer as he is slowly wheeled down the rampway, soaking it all in. Frank Windsor, mad, you want to be known as a beater of the disabled? I can't believe that I have been told that I may not walk ever again. I hate you mad, and if I was well enough I'd take the ring bell and shove it up your ass, sideways. Ben Price, he sure has a lot to say. Eddie Vega, he can't fight like that. Ben Price, he has just got to lie down and give up to Mad, that's all. Eddie Vega, are you condoning this? Windsor exhales slowly as he looks at Mad in the ring, who is smiling at the group. Embarking on a brisk walk, he rolls out of the ring. He grabs hold of Finn and slams him into the ring post. Natalya screams and jumps onto Mad's back. She tries to rake his eyes, but Mad grabs the arms and slams her to the floor. He then slowly turns to Frank, who is looking around trying to work out what's happening. Mad charges him and hits him with a lariat, which makes the wheelchair fly back against the barrier. He takes a run and drop kicks the side of the wheelchair, knocking it over, spilling Frank to the floor. Eddie Vega, come on. Security. Stop this fiasco. Mad picks up the wheelchair and smashes it into Frank, who is rolling around on the mat in pain. Mad goes to lift it back up again, but Natalya crawls over and grabs his leg. He looks down and smirks before dropping a leg across the back of her neck. Eddie Vega, come on. She's the innocent one. Mad grabs hold of Frank and lifts him up and rips off some of the bandages. He slams him onto the wheelchair before picking him back up and throws him into the ring. He rolls into the ring and grabs hold of Frank by his throat and pulls him up and starts shouting at him. He slaps Frank, trying to get his full attention. Ben Price, Mad is motivated. Eddie Vega, this is so unfair. Frank can't even stand. Mad lets go of Frank, who slumps to the mat. He stomps on Frank and poses to the fans. Frank tries to pull himself up on the ropes, which Mad spots and approaches. He slaps Frank around the face once, then he goes for it again, but Frank blocks it. Frank starts to stand up straight, which shocks Mad and is met with a headbutt straight to the nose, knocking him back. Frank follows up and grabs Mad's arm and Irish whips him into the ropes and hits him with a drop kick to the face upon his return. He looks over the ropes at Finn and Natalya. Eddie Vega, it's a goddamn miracle. He can walk. He is the new Messiah. Mad slowly makes it to his feet and, without taking his eyes off of Windsor, backs into the ropes. They enter a grapple and struggle from one side of the ring to the other. Windsor gets the arm drag, but the hold is reapplied. He then hits the arm drag and the hold is reapplied. Windsor forces Mad into a corner, but he fights out of it and then applies a headlock. Windsor fights against Mad, but the hold turns into a reverse waist lock. Mad receives an elbow to the temple and Windsor breaks free of his grasp. He goes for the right hand, but Mad counters by taking hold of Windsor's arm and trying to rip it out of its socket. Windsor goes for a clothesline, but Mad ducks and hits with a German suplex. Windsor gets to his feet as Mad watches on cautiously. Windsor makes a run for Mad but is taken down with a drop toe hold. Mad rolls out of the ring as Windsor recovers. Windsor leans over the ropes and grabs Mad by the hair. He tries to pull him back into the ring but is the victim of a guillotine. Mad quickly crawls into the ring and covers his opponent. 1. Kick out. Ben Price, this should be a great match, don't you think, Eddie? Eddie Vega, Frank is the new Messiah. Ben Price, you on crack? Mad stomps on Windsor and then drops an elbow. He gets another 1 count, but Windsor begins to rise. Mad unloads some punches, but Windsor pushes him to the ground. Mad springs back to his feet but is mowed down with a clothesline. Windsor covers Mad. 1. 2. Kick out. He then drags Mad towards a turnbuckle. He beats Mad's head off of it and then hits a thunderous chop across his chest. The fans go wild with "Who" chants as the barrage of knife-edged chops continues. Ben Price, WHOO. Eddie Vega, MOK. Windsor whips Mad into the opposite turnbuckle and runs at him. Mad fights back with a kick to the face and a bulldog. He covers Windsor for the 1 count and then rolls out of the ring. He retrieves a steel chair and turns back towards the ring but receives an unexpected baseball slide. The sharp assault causes the chair to be propelled into Mad's face. Windsor then rolls out of the ring and fires some more right hands. Windsor lifts up the steel chair and raises it into the air. Mad looks up from the ringside mat and spots the steel chair. He saves himself with a low blow to Windsor. Mad fires some punches at Windsor and then whips Windsor into the ringside steps. Mad forces his knee into Windsor continually before rolling him back into the ring. He takes hold of the steel chair and follows his opponent. As Windsor reaches to the ropes for support, Mad brings the chair down hard across the back of Windsor. Mad then goes for the cover. 1, 2. Shoulder up. Eddie Vega, that was close. Ben Price, don't you want Frank to win? Mad lifts up Windsor and fires some right hands before going for the Irish whip. Windsor counters and catches Mad with a pop-up power slam. Some elbow drops to Mad wear him down. Windsor then extends his hand in the air as he signals for a chokeslam. He grabs him by the throat but Mad kicks him between the legs. Windsor drops to the ground and Mad applies a figure 4 leg lock. Windsor writhes in pain but he tries to motivate himself to reverse the hold and torture Mad. Windsor cannot prevent Mad eventually reaching the bottom rope but afterwards he kicks his opponent mercilessly. He then lifts up the steel chair and turns to face the fallen Mad. Mad slowly arises as Windsor stalks him from behind. Mad turns around as Windsor runs at him. He fights back with a drop kick and forces the chair into the face of Windsor. Mad then removes the safety padding from a turnbuckle. Mad kicks his opponent when he is down before pulling him towards the turnbuckle. Windsor elbows Mad and unleashes some more right hands. Mad retakes control of the match with a flapjack that sends the head of Windsor into the exposed metal clamp. Ben Price, Windsor just got his head dropped onto that unforgiving metal. Eddie Vega, look at that, he's bleeding. Ben Price, if he wasn't injured before this match he will be now. Eddie Vega, don't say that about the wrestling messiah. Ben Price, he isn't the messiah, he's just a naughty boy. Windsor looks up at Mad and it becomes clear that his face is masked in blood. Mad claws at the wound and then knocks down his opponent with a hard right hand. Mad then rests Windsor against the ropes. He runs at him but Windsor drops to the ground and pulls on the ropes. Mad tumbles out of the squared circle and lands on the bare ground at ringside. Windsor heads to the top rope as Mad gets to his feet. He dives towards him and takes him down with a flying clothesline. Ben Price, doesn't Windsor have any compassion towards his fellow man? He dives off of the top rope to ringside and mows down Mad. He shows no mercy. Eddie Vega, and what Mad did earlier wasn't? Windsor lifts up Mad and drops him onto the guardrail. He then clears the commentary table and takes hold of his opponent. Mad elbows Windsor and beats his head off of the table. He then dismantles the ringside steps. With the top part he strikes his opponent in the kidney area. He slides the base part of the steps into the ring. Mad approaches Windsor but is subjected to a scoop slam. Windsor rolls him into the ring and heads to the top rope. Mad clocks him with his fist and nails a superplex. Both men lie prone on the ground. Ben Price, this is a fast-paced match and we've still got a long way to go. Mad covers Windsor in hope of getting the sneaky win. 1, 2, 2 and a solid half. Somehow there is a kick out from Windsor. Mad struggles to his feet and looks towards the base of the steps. He grabs the bloodied Windsor and hits a power bomb onto the steel. Mad hooks the leg. 1, 2. Again, 2.5. Still Windsor hangs in there. Mad lifts up Windsor. Eddie Vega, can you hear Mad yelling? He must be frustrated. Windsor kicked out after he hit him with a power bomb onto the steel. Ben Price, I can hear him. He's saying, I'll break your neck for real, again and again. Mad sets up a dreaded pile driver. He attempts to hit him but Windsor counters with a back body drop that sends Mad back over the top rope to ringside yet again before rolling out of the ring. Windsor smiles at Eddie Vega and grabs a bottle of water from the table. Mad knocks it out of his hand. Mad sets up Windsor in a power bomb position. Eddie Vega, oh my god. Mad is going to put Windsor through the table with a power bomb. Windsor counters with a back body drop and Mad crashes through the table to the ground below. Mad stumbles in disbelief before crawling into the ring. Windsor crawls after him. Both men enter the squared circle and pull themselves up. Windsor charges towards Mad, but he is intercepted with a cold, calculated takedown and locked in another figure four leglock. Eddie Vega, Windsor seems to be trying to fight it. Windsor, blood dripping down his face and through his teeth. He shakes his head and tries to power out to no avail. He falls backwards. Mad continues to dig in the leg lock even though it looks like Windsor is unconscious. The referee sees that Windsor's shoulders are down. 1, 2. Kick out. Eddie Vega, Windsor's got the ropes. They both get up. Windsor sends Mad hard into the turnbuckle, and then does the same thing moments later, but this time, sending Mad into the opposite corner. Mad ends up going down on his knees within seconds, before falling on his stomach, which Windsor follows up by dropping an elbow to his back. He arrogantly lays a hand on him for the count. 1. Kick out. Ben Price, arrogant mistake. Knowing Mad is not out of this one just yet, Windsor continues to go to work on the back as he stomps away. He then works consecutive backbreakers, before he plants Mad on the mat with a vicious side suplex. The referee drops into position as Windsor goes for another pin. 1, 2. Kick out. Windsor looks pissed off after as he rolls out of the ring and grabs a chair. He rolls back in as Mad slowly climbs to his feet. He holds the chair up high and brings it down across his head, knocking him down. With Mad down on the mat again, Windsor goes for a blatant choke, but Mad grabs him by the shoulders and rolls him up for the pin. 1, 2. Kick out. Eddie Vega, definitely a slow count. Windsor jumps to his feet. He manages to keep his mind on the match as he works over the back of Mad again. Then sends him back first into the corner. He tries to follow up with a shoulder charge. Mad moves out of the way at the last second, and Windsor ends up going shoulder first into the steel post. He rubs his, now, hurt left shoulder. Mad takes the time to capitalize, striking his opponent with every blow he can get in. Mad then ducks a clothesline attempt, and follows up with a big flying forearm, knocking Windsor back down on the canvas. Eddie Vega, the tide has turned in this one. Windsor needs to get that pin to claim the win. Mad rolls to the outside to grab himself a chair. He sees a sign stating, "NKO suck," which he grabs and rips in half. He gets back onto the ring apron. This allows Windsor time to recover. He gets to his feet, and then bounces into the ropes, knocking Mad off the apron. Windsor falls back down to the canvas. The referee checks on Windsor. Ben Price, what's up with Windsor? Eddie Vega, don't know, but Mad seems to be throwing him around like a rag doll. Ben Price, he'd probably kill you then. Eddie Vega, bitch. The referee turns to look for something at ringside. Mad grabs a fire extinguisher from under the ring. As Windsor gets by the ropes and on his feet, Mad, who is standing on the ring apron, sprays it at him, but to his dismay, Windsor ducks, and it ends up going right over his shoulders. Windsor grabs the fire extinguisher and smashes it into Mad's face. Eddie Vega, oh my god. Ben Price, why hasn't either been disqualified? Windsor takes advantage of his opportunity by clotheslining Mad off the apron, and then jumping down he hits Mad with a big-time DDT. He goes for the pin. The referee starts the count. 1, 2. Kick out. Eddie Vega, Windsor was so close. Ben Price, at least they've stayed around the ring this show. Mad manages to get back in the ring. Mad connects with a swift right punch to the side of Windsor's head, phasing him, but not grounding him. Mad opts to try again, this time with his left hand, throwing another punch at Windsor. This time, however, Windsor blocks the punch and grabs Mad's wrist, pushing down on it and creating pressure on the joint. Mad slowly falls to his knees, struggling to push back, but the power is too much for him. Eddie Vega, that's power. Windsor stands in all his glory, keeping his grip locked, smiling at his plaything, which is now Mad. Windsor's rage all flows to his shaking foot, and as he screams out in hate, a kick straight into the bloodied face of Mad stuns the crowd. Eddie Vega, Jesus Christ. That kick looked stiff. Ben Price, who cares? Windsor takes a small step back, allowing Mad, whose head is hanging from fatigue, to regain a sense of where he is. Yet, to show remorse is to show weakness, and Windsor refuses to be weak, plowing into Mad with yet another kick right when Mad lifts his head. This time, Mad's head snaps back quickly, prompting Windsor to release Mad's wrist. However, Windsor mounts Mad right after, knocking his head against the canvas repeatedly. Finally, the referee interjects, pulling the angry Windsor off of his opponent. Ben Price, he shouldn't be doing that. Windsor makes moves toward Mad, who is now on all fours struggling to rise. About an inch away from Mad's seemingly broken body, Windsor reaches down to pick up his victim, but is surprised to see Mad hop up and shock the world with a super kick. Windsor bounces back against the ropes in a haze, sending him right back to the now standing Mad Morales. Mad hops up onto Windsor's shoulders, flying through the air and bringing him down over the ropes with a stunning Hurricane Rana. Windsor falls onto the ringside mats while Mad hangs onto the ropes with his legs, propping himself back up into the ring. Eddie Vega, has Mad ever done that before? Ben Price, not to my knowledge. Mad leans on the ropes, mind wandering, glancing between his fallen adversary and the other side of the ring. Calculating distance, Mad performed a practice run against the ropes, turning it into a somersault just to annoy the fans with his stalling. Once again he turns to the battered Windsor, smiling through his teeth and spitting on his body. Walking backwards, Mad flies against the ropes with fierce tenacity and runs toward where Windsor lay, hopping on top of the upper rope and diving onto Windsor with a corkscrew plancha. Mad rolls off of Windsor's body following the move, holding his midsection in pain. Eddie Vega, it looks as if that excellent maneuver hurt Mad just about as much as it hurt Windsor. The fans, despite their obvious hatred for Mad, seem to enjoy that high spot. Yet, if Mad keeps taking risks like that, I'll sincerely doubt how long he'll last the full hour. Ben Price, listen, Mad can fly around if he wants, it won't help him, for Windsor is going to beat him if he doesn't just go for what he does best. Eddie Vega, be that as it may, Windsor cannot underestimate Mad as a wrestler. Still outside the ring, Mad lifts Windsor up and grabs him by the wrist this time around. Locking up with his other arm, Mad begins to swing around and release, sending Windsor into the guardrail with an Irish whip. Windsor collapses to his knees following the connection with the steel while Mad runs forward and leaps off of Windsor's own back, landing on top of the guardrail in front of the fans watching this match. Not looking back at all, Mad once again leaps, this time with a variation of a splash. Paying the price for his not paying attention, Mad connects with the bare ground as a revived Windsor rolls out of the way. Mad rolls over onto his back gasping for air, Windsor crawling back onto the ring apron and answering Mad's attack with a flying elbow strike. Landing perfectly, it would have been the opportune time for a pinfall. Ben Price, what is he doing? Windsor gets up slowly off of Mad's body, grabbing his still laid out opponent by his shoulder and rolling him into the ring. Mad now lies inside of the ring, profusely bleeding from his face, while Windsor runs around the ring rallying the fans. His eyes suddenly lock on Mad's new NKO t-shirt. Ben Price, ha! Go ahead, Windsor. Pick up his t-shirt and strangle him with it. Come on. You know you want to. Eddie Vega, we're really not supposed to be biased. Ben Price, you know what, Eddie? This whole match I've heard you defend Frank even though he's a douche. Frankly, I'm sick of the bastards, so there, I've said it. Eddie Vega, oh okay. Ben Price, I've got 2 words for you, Eddie. Eddie Vega, suck it? Ben Price, no, fist yourself. The ridiculous arguing at ringside is put to rest as Windsor slams Mad's t-shirt on the broken announce table, spitting on it as he looks at the announce team. Crowd, Windsor. 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 Windsor climbs back into the ring where an angry Mad waits. Now the 2 men are right back where they started, exchanging punches and inflating egos. This time around, Windsor strikes first with closed fist punches, knocking Mad around the ring. Standing there dazed and confused, Windsor leaps forward with a flying lariat. Mad, showing his intellect, ducks and Windsor rolls over his back. Not to be outdone, before Windsor hits the ground he grabs Mad from under the legs and brings both bodies down to the mat with a schoolboy roll-up. 1, 2, Close but no cigar. Mad kicks out with power, sending Windsor a good 2 feet away from him. Standing up, Mad grabs Windsor, who is nearly standing, by the midsection. Picking up Windsor is no easy task with the blood loss Mad has, but Mad pulls it off and gets into the formation for a belly-to-belly suplex. Windsor fights back mid-air, plowing into Mad's body with severe lefts and rights, finally causing Mad to drop him. Windsor then battles back with a leg sweep, but rather than allowing his opponent to fall, Windsor catches Mad and then throws him into the left turnbuckle with a T-bone suplex. Mad hits awkwardly, upside down with his legs caught in the ropes, which allows Windsor to right the injustices Mad has caused. Eddie Vega, anything goes in this match after what Mad did at the start. The superstar who is from the United Kingdom threw a fist right into the genitalia of Mad, who screams out in pain, but can do nothing due to the constraints on his legs. Ben Price, OH. Windsor hops over the ropes and smiles at the public who are screaming over every brutal punch, grabbing Mad's head and pulling backwards from outside of the ring. Mad coughs out in rage and begins to spit blood, unable to breathe and spinal cord about to break in two. Ben Price, he should pin him. The crowd erupts following that sentiment as Windsor saunters over to the destroyed announce table, picking up the Mad t-shirt. Windsor couldn't care less, raising the t-shirt to his face and blowing his nose in it. Devilishly grinning, Windsor walks back to where Mad is trapped, opening up the t-shirt so each and every camera can see the entrails from Windsor's nose. At that moment, between Mad's constant coughing, Windsor proceeded to rub Mad's face with his t-shirt. Windsor leaves the t-shirt on top of Mad and loosens the ropes, causing Mad's body to topple over. Eddie Vega, not only is that entertainment, but it proves that there was a lost commandment. Thou shall not fuck with Windsor. Ben Price, that's going to give us such negative press. I mean, people are here to see technical wrestling, not Mad eating another man's snot. Jesus, I think we've lost perspective. Eddie Vega, shush. Ben Price, coughs ass clown coughs. Eddie Vega, I am not an ass clown. Just a lover of entertaining, pure, and intelligent wrestling which the bastards bring to the ring. Ben Price, yeah right. Have you seen an Eddie Williams match? Eddie Vega, yes I have and he's a multi-time champion here in CWF. Ben. Mad is laying there on his stomach, not moving in the least, as Windsor climbs back into the ring. Windsor senses the weakness inside of Mad almost as if it were instinct, choosing to lay the boots to his enemy. Kicking a man when he's down if you will. The referee once again tells Windsor to back off of Mad, except now he lifts Mad's arm to make sure he's able to continue. The referee picks his arm up once, it falls back down to the ground. Windsor stands up onto the turnbuckle facing the audience, raising his arms as a symbol of victory. They eat it up of course, no doubt thinking that the bleeding Mad is down and out. Once again Mad's arm is raised, it falls again to the mat. Frank Windsor basks in the glory of his dismantling of Mad, starting up yet another Windsor chant. For what would be the final time, Mad's arm is lifted. It stays up. Ben Price, oh my god. Windsor wastes his time posing and primping for the cameras. Mad flips up to his feet, rushing over to Windsor and reaching under his legs. Mad slowly picks Windsor up, trying to climb the turnbuckle at the very same time. He reaches the top with Windsor hoisted on his shoulders and in a reckless move, Mad seemingly defies gravity by driving Windsor's body down to the canvas with a sit-down powerbomb. Mad had used his pent-up energy to his own advantage. Ben Price, that was awesome. He rolls into a Boston Crab variation. Mad struggles to keep Windsor grounded. Windsor resists at first, but Mad stomps inward on top of Windsor. Right in the middle of the ring, Mad is making a comeback, and in the process making Windsor squeal. Mad taunts the crowd. However, with one burst of last-minute strength, Windsor makes a small step with his hands toward the ropes. Then, even with Mad on his back trying to pull him back, Windsor makes another slow step. Soon, Windsor is 1 inch away from the bottom rope. Eddie Vega, this is damn close. All it took was one blink of the eye, a single instant. The crowd erupts again as Windsor grabs the rope, forcing Mad to break the hold. Mad, in a weird change of plan, drops the legs with no problem and climbs outside of the ring. Slowly but surely, he pulls out a baseball bat from under the ring. Ben Price, oh here we go. Windsor refuses to take this, rising up from his pain with a limp, but manages to get outside the ring all right. He taps Mad on his shoulder. Windsor stands there waiting with a clenched fist. However, Mad is just too quick, turning around and blasts Windsor with the bat. Ben Price, it's outta here. Eddie Vega, wait. Ben Price, what is it? Eddie Vega, Windsor didn't fall down. He's up. He's up. Windsor just stands in front of Mad. Mad throws a weak punch at Windsor, who is supposed to be just as weak, but with one slip of the fist, the attempt is blocked. The crowd stomps their feet in support as Windsor fires with one punch immediately followed up by another. Mad dreamily hits the guardrail and falls back onto Windsor, who is ready with a plan. Windsor hops up onto the guardrail with Mad's head in grasp, opting to jump off with a flying DDT. In mid-air, Windsor swings and takes down Mad's whole body, connecting with the ring mats. Crowd, CWF. 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 Ben Price, these men are pushing each other to the brink and these fans are loving it. However, both men are now tired and weary, and despite the crazy things which have gone on there needs to be a winner. Windsor and Mad are both lying ringside with nothing left. The referee starts to count for the knockout. 1, 2, 3. Ben Price, get up Mad. This will give you the win. 4, 5, 6. Crowd, Windsor. 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 Windsor begins to claw up the ring apron, stumbling up and raising an arm to show that he's all right. 7, 8. Mad gets up at that same moment, the fans booing as he gets to his feet. The blood of two countries spilt. The egos deflated. The pandemonium. In one last desperate attempt, Mad hops to the turnbuckle, signaling for the end. Ben Price, this may be it. Mad flies off of the post like a bird, seeming to fly in slow motion, but lands straight in the grasp of Windsor, who used the positioning to hit the Bradford bomb. Ben Price, this is all she wrote, Eddie. With the Bradford bomb comes the crash. Ben Price, yes. Following Windsor's finisher, Windsor collapses on top of Mad's weary body. The referee wipes his brow and falls to the mat, closing in for the pinfall attempt. 1, 2. Kick out. Ben Price, Mad kicked out. Eddie Vega, that's impossible. Ben Price, oh okay. Windsor backs up, letting Mad up. Mad stares down at Windsor, who doesn't back up an inch. Mad strikes right away, slapping Windsor. Windsor doesn't budge. The slap isn't meant to hurt. It is a direct insult. Grabbing Windsor by the throat with both hands, Mad lifts him up as far up as his arms will allow. He then delivers a power bomb and goes for the cover. 1, 2. Kick out. Eddie Vega, this is amazing. Mad rolls away from Windsor to a corner and pulls himself up. Mad charges out at Windsor with a drop kick, and another, and then a third. Windsor is rocking but not falling. Mad charges at Windsor as if for a clothesline, and then suddenly dropkicks Windsor right on the knee. Windsor goes down to his knees and Mad smashes Windsor with several hard right hands to the face. And then a super kick to the jaw that finishes the chopping down of Windsor. Ben Price, like a tree. Mad heads to the ring apron. He launches himself back into the ring with a slingshot somersault leg drop and goes for a cover. 1, 2. No. Windsor powers right out, pushing Mad away. As Windsor tries to get back up, Mad goes to work on Windsor's neck, stomping the back of his head. Stomp, 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 continuing to send Windsor's face first into the mat. And then he drops an elbow, no doubt planning to set up Windsor for another powerbomb sometime soon. Then Windsor flips over and catches one of Mad's boots. Using his legs, Windsor leg sweeps Mad, who trips and falls to the mat. Windsor finally gets back up and as Mad does, a huge clothesline sends Mad right back down. Windsor then grabs Mad and pulls him back up. He whips him to the ropes, but Mad, somehow, manages to springboard over the top rope and quickly mounts the turnbuckles, flying clothesline from Mad. Both men crash to the mat. Mad, like a rabid animal, goes right after Windsor while both men are still down on the mat. Mad sends punch after punch into the back of Windsor's head and neck. But Windsor is able to bat Mad away, just long enough to get back into this thing. Mad charges but is lifted high into the air. A back body drop from Windsor. Windsor drops Mad down throat first onto the top rope. And as Mad recoils, Windsor kicks him right in the face with a big boot. He falls between the top and middle rope, hits the apron, then the floor with a thud. He heads outside and picks up Mad, who is gasping for breath. He lifts up Mad and sits him on a corner of the guardrail so he is facing toward the fans. Eddie Vega, what's he up to now? Windsor grabs Mad as if he were about to deliver a reverse DDT. Mad tries to counter but is too late, a huge reverse DDT. The crowd roars out an "OHHH" as the back of Mad's skull hits the mats on the floor. Windsor stands up and stares down at Mad as the crowd chants, "Holy shit! Holy shit! Eddie Vega, how? What? Why? Ben Price, exactly." Mad grabs at the back of his head and pulls back a bloody hand. Windsor heads back into the ring. Mad slowly begins to push himself up. Still on his knees, Mad reaches for the rail. Windsor has waited long enough. He steps back outside and jumps back to the floor. He wants to destroy Mad once and for all. It isn't about winning. Windsor picks up Mad and loads him on his shoulders. It is time for one of Windsor's high spots. But Mad somehow kicks off and on the way down grabs Windsor. The reverse falling DDT spikes the back of Windsor's head into the floor. Both men are down but Mad's arm is across Windsor's chest. The referee goes to count and then realizes they are outside the ring. Ben Price, get back in the ring. Mad rolls onto his knees and pulls himself up using the guardrail. After stomping Windsor a couple of times, he heads under the ring. Mad pulls out a trash can. Mad puts the garbage can on Windsor's face and uses the guardrail to hit a leg drop, flattening the garbage can, and possibly part of Windsor's face. Mad lifts up the can, crash, and smashes it down on Windsor, crash, and again. Crash, 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 crash. Eddie Vega, brutal is an understatement. Satisfied with that, Mad throws the garbage can away and rolls back into the ring. He looks around for the referee wanting him to count the pin on Windsor. Realizing that he's on the other side of the ring, he goes over to get him. While this is going on, Windsor is slowly getting to his feet. Blood drips down his face, covering it like a crimson mask. He rolls into the ring and with Mad's back to him he grabs him and hits a German suplex to him. Eddie Vega, he can't come back from the trash cans, can he? Slowly he climbs the turnbuckle, slipping then regaining his footing. He turns and looks at Mad. Smiling, the blood flowing between his teeth, he launches himself with a shoulder block hitting Mad in the center of his chest. Mad manages to turn and pulling on Windsor's tights goes for the pin. 1. 2. Kick out. Ben Price, words cannot. The referee checks on Windsor who has rolled out of the ring. He is bent down and doesn't notice Finn Corbin getting into the ring. He sneaks up to Mad and hits him with the Corbin cutter before rolling back out of the ring. Eddie Vega, come on. Ben Price, someone pin someone. Eddie Vega, too true. Windsor gets back up and sees Mad down. He picks Mad up and hits him with the Bradford bomb. He drops for the pin. 1. 2. Kick out. Eddie Vega, he kicked out. Windsor rolls out of the ring to get his breath. Natalya hands him a towel to clean his face. The referee leans over the ropes shouting at him. Little Ronnie runs down the rampway and slides into the ring. He grabs hold of Mad and hits him with a big-time release German suplex. Finn joins him and picks Mad up and throws him at Little Ronnie again and Mad gets hit with a huge pop-up powerbomb. His head smashes onto the mat echoing around the arena. They start to kick him in the body. Eddie Vega, those war dogs are ruthless at what they are doing. Ben Price, if the rumors are true, Mad deserves this. Eddie Vega, are we agreeing on something? The referee goes to turn around but is pushed down to the mat. Ben Price, that'll be a fine. Frank and Natalya roll into the ring. The referee gets to his feet and calls for the bell. Eddie Vega, he's disqualified Frank Windsor. Ben Price, well, the War Dogs are destroying Mad Morales. Natalya grabs a microphone off of one of the ring crew and passes it to Frank. The War Dogs pick up Mad and constrain him. Frank leans down face to face with Mad. Frank Windsor, oh come on Mad, did you think it would go down any other fucking way bruv? Ben Price, he is aware that he actually got disqualified? Frank Windsor, this has been coming for you and your peeps for a while. How is it you attacked the bastards without any repercussions? I'm not meaning my War Dogs, but you and your other freaks working for that Armand attacked others first trying to make yourselves relevant. He stands up straight and looks at the hard camera. Frank Windsor, do you fuckers want me to cue the montage of all the times bitches in the past have tried messing with the bastards and had their asses handed to them? Hell, we even had a group of parody versions of us trying to mess with us bruv. What the hell happened to them? He looks at Natalya who shrugs her shoulders. Frank Windsor, I may have had a miraculous recovery today when Mad threw me around and my body healed itself. Now I have to get onto some business. Before he can complete his sentence, the curtains at the top of the rampway. Mammoth pushes his way through the curtains with a blood-stained chair dangling from his right hand. He charges down towards the ring but stops when Frank brings the microphone back up. Frank Windsor, WHH. Hold yourself back bruv. Hey Mammoth, read the fucking room and get with the goddamn program. What you sow will be repaid 10 fucking fold. If you get in the ring, my War Dogs will break Mad's fucking neck and there'll be no fucking miraculous recovery for him, mate. Now let me finish what I was saying. Mammoth angrily waits and inches closer to the ring whilst Frank continues. Frank Windsor, now it's not a secret that my path has been diverted since I was cheated out of the CWF Conquest Championship. I should have stood here with that belt raised high above me, but that coward Cronin cheated his way to the win and now my stablemate Eddie will have to dethrone the cum-gargling cockwomble. Mammoth shouts something from outside the ring. Frank Windsor, hold your tongue you dull creature, you'll get your 15 minutes of fame soon enough. I should really make an example of you too Mammoth as you put your grubby hands on my War Dogs too. You need to be shown that the bastards are unfucking touchable. Mammoth goes to get in the ring but the referee pushes him back. He shouts at Mammoth but they both miss Frank, handing the microphone to Natalya and then runs at the ropes and returns and leaps the top rope with a plancha. He lands on top of the referee and Mammoth. Ben Price, oh my god. Eddie Vega, it's true. The Messiah flies. Natalya passes the mic back to him and Frank gets down to Mammoth's level. Frank Windsor, you pick a fight with one, you pick a fight with us all. You want to get into Bastards business? Next week Windsor versus Mammoth, Bastards rules match, bitch. He drops the microphone and motions for the others to join him. The War Dogs slams Mad down to the mat. They leave up the rampway as CWF officials and road agents run down to split it all up. Ben Price, how do you follow that? Eddie Vega, the wrestling messiah, has put that challenge out there. Ben Price, bastard rules? That changes every time we hear it. But let's see what that turns into. Eddie Vega, I'd say it's probably close to Carnival rules. Ben Price, well, we have one more commercial break, and when we return, it's our main event of the evening. Monster Mammoth will defend the Valor title against Wicked Cat Hale. Eddie Vega, squash match. Peak of Freak. Monster Factory. Let your inner freak emerge. The show comes back, with the camera on Eric Wilson in the ring. Ben Price, welcome back. We're ready for our main event. Wicked Cat Hale challenging Monster Mammoth for the Valor Championship. Eric Wilson, the following contest is scheduled for one fall and is for the CWF Valor Championship. Featuring first the challenger, hailing from Grand Junction, Colorado, she is the 4WW Tempest champion, Wicked Cat Hale. The lights begin flashing green, blue, and red as the initial jingle of Nemo by Nightwish starts. Cat delays hitting the stage for those initial 7 seconds. She comes out wearing a black leather jacket that stops at her mid-drift, and she comes out with high energy, throwing up the rock and roll devil horns a few times, before moving to either side of the stage to engage with the crowd. pointing towards them and then starting to make her way down to the ring. She'll continue interacting with fans near the ramp, high-fiving and occasionally pausing to throw up devil horns with other members of the audience. She makes her way to the south side of the ring, jumps onto the apron, and throws her hands out to either side to pose for the audience. Then, slipping under the middle rope, moves to the opposite end of the ring. Climbing onto the middle rope of the turnbuckle, she'll rock up and down with her head down, covering the top rope until rising and flipping her hair back over her shoulders and pose with her arms spread once again, pointing to members of the audience. At last, she'll step down and strip off her jacket, readying herself for the match. Ben Price, Kat Hale, fresh off of defending her Tempest Championship against Zolothak, where she finally got her to break away from Morgan Decker and put that issue to rest. Eddie Vega, I don't know if it's really been put to rest, but Morgan was certainly put in his place. Eric Wilson, and her opponent, hailing from Detroit, Michigan, he is the CWF Valor Champion, Monster Mammoth. Monster Mammoth comes out from backstage, tearing off a propped-up curtain from the walkway, putting it over his head, covering his eyes, and standing under a purple light on the stage for 15 seconds. He rolls his neck eerily from side to side, before ripping off the curtain and throwing it into the crowd. He points to himself while walking down the ramp, pointing his thumbs at himself and gesturing to his person. With an intimidating expression, he gets close to the barricades on both sides and shakes them with his hands, spitting and snarling like a dog before hitting his own head once against the steel steps, putting his arms to the sky and dragging them towards his chest slowly and with much anticipation, before climbing up the steps and wiping his boots on the apron. Monster Mammoth steps over the top rope, holding it down with his strength, and then gets to the center of the ring. He climbs up on the turnbuckle's middle rope and flexes for the crowd, hopping down from the spot and jogging around the ring once, acting as if every boo is only further motivation. Ben Price, and Monster Mammoth is fresh off of defeating Carly Nash in a defense of the Valor title. Eddie Vega, he's on a quest to become the third person to go 5 defenses and get the title shot for any championship. He just might be able to do it. Ben Price, well, Kat Hale is looking to change that fate and become champion. Eddie Vega, I think she's going to suffer the same fate as Carly Nash. As the bell sounds to start the match, Kat Hale rushes across the ring and nails Monster Mammoth in the right knee with a drop kick that takes the leg out from beneath the big man so that he drops to one knee. Kat goes to deliver a roundhouse kick, but Mammoth catches the foot. He's about to pull on the leg when Kat breaks free with a backflip kick to the jaw that nearly takes the big man down to his back. Kat lands on her feet and takes to the air again to deliver another dropkick to the face, this time that does take Mammoth down. Kat goes to the ropes and comes back with a baseball slide dropkick to the side of Mammoth's head. Ben Price, Kat Hale going hard and fast. Strike and fade, strike and fade. Eddie Vega, she kind of has to, or else Mammoth will catch and crush her. In the ring, Kat Hale hops onto the top rope and waits, watching as Mammoth gets to his feet, shaking his head and looking around, having lost track of Kat Hale for the moment. She jumps off the top rope and hits Mammoth with a missile dropkick, knocking the big man back as he turned to face Kat. However, she doesn't knock him down and he is able to grab hold of her as she tries to get back to her feet. He whips her hard into the corner, charging in after her and hitting her with a big clothesline before he roars out and throws Kat Hale from one corner diagonally to the other corner with a big heel toss. Ben Price, Jesus Christ. And that, folks, is why it was important for Kat Hale to stick to a hit-and-run style of offense. Eddie Vega, yeah, because Mammoth just launched her ass into orbit there. Monster Mammoth runs across the ring to hit an avalanche on Kat Hale, who is leaning in the opposite corner. Kat gets her feet up into the air to connect with Mammoth's face, knocking him back a few steps. Mammoth shakes his head and growls as he reaches for her, but she slips under his grasp and somersaults to behind him where she gets back to her feet. She aims a kick at the right kneecap as Mammoth turns around and he responds with a shout of pain and a thud of a ham fist to the top of Kat's head that makes her eyes become unfocused for a moment as she falls onto her back. Ben Price, Kat Hale trying to stay out of Mammoth's reach, but she got caught there. Eddie Vega, yeah, she did. That knock on the noggin did some harm right there. Mammoth walks over and rolls Kat over with a foot so that he can step up onto the small of her back. Kat lets out a scream of pain as Mammoth puts all of his weight on her back. Mammoth steps off of her and picks her up. He shoves her head between his legs before raising his arms into the air. Ben Price, I think we're going to see the peak seat in play here to finish the match. Eddie Vega, see? Once he caught her, it was all over. Mammoth reaches down to grab Cat to lift her up when she palm strikes his right kneecap in a move that makes him stagger backward with a yelp of pain. Cat gets up and goes quickly to the ropes and comes back to spear Mammoth in the right knee to bring him crashing down to the mat. Cat jumps up and goes to the ropes, but Mammoth is back up quickly. On the rebound, Cat grabs Mammoth by the arm and wrenches it before hitting him in the chest with a super kick. Mammoth staggers backwards with a limp, but does not fall over. She kicks him right in the right kneecap, bringing him to his knees. She slips behind him and grabs him as if to set up for the motion of the wicked rhythm, but he grabs her and lifts her up from behind him into the air before dropping her onto her head. Ben Price, and just like that, Mammoth turns the tide. Eddie Vega, I know, right? He's just too much for her. Monster Mammoth gets back up and staggers to the side a little bit as the right knee tries to give way from under him. He limps over to the downed Cat. He pulls her to her feet and hefts her up by the throat for a massive chokeslam. He keeps his hand on her throat for a few moments afterward, choking her until the referee, Scott Jones, makes him break the choke hold. Mammoth pulls her up and puts her into position for the peak seat again and lifts her up into the air, but the right leg gives out on him and Cat twists through the air to grab Mammoth around the head and DDT him to the mat. Ben Price, Cat holding on. She isn't giving up the ghost. Eddie Vega, she is trying, but is it going to be enough? Monster Mammoth gets up to his knees and Cat runs across the ring to the ropes and falls down on the rebound. Mad Morales stands back from the ring with his hands out to the side as if to say he did nothing. Suddenly the camera picks up someone climbing over the barricade. From the mask, it's Tetsuo Oni. She grabs Mad Morales, turns him around. But he pushes her away and runs around the ring to the opposite side to put some distance between him and her. Ben Price, Mammoth should already be disqualified. Eddie Vega, for what? Mad Morales was just standing there? Cat runs across the ring and Mammoth is getting up and goes for a high crossbody block when Mammoth catches her and flings her over his shoulders, but Cat lands on her feet. She grabs Mammoth for a hammerlock and then kicks the back of his right knee out from under him to get him to fall backward onto his arm. Cat Hale jumps up to the top turnbuckle and steadies herself, but Mad Morales jumps up onto the ring apron. Cat shifts her aim to him, but then Tetsuo Oni pulls him from the ring apron in a German suplex to the concrete floor. Cat is getting ready to leap again when the lights go dim and a spotlight shines on the entrance stage to reveal Morgan Decker, who has a microphone. Morgan Decker, you know, I would be content in the fact that you took my protege from me and leave things alone, but I really can't. You made the mistake in betraying me, Cat. I have to destroy you. By hook or by crook. With Cat's attention on Morgan, she doesn't see Monster Mammoth get back to his feet and limp over. She looks down to see Mammoth standing there, who shoves her off of her perch to the concrete floor below. Ben Price, all kinds of interference going on here. Eddie Vega, yeah, Mad, then Tetsuo, and then Morgan. Scott Jones should get this shit under control. Monster Mammoth steps out of the ring and limps down the steps to the concrete floor. Tetsuo Oni pulls Mad Morales up. Mad takes a wild swing at Tetsuo, but is grabbed by the arm and pulled into an iron fist that lays him out. Mammoth palms the top of Cat's head and pulls her up so that he can pick her up into a body slam position and hurls her at the ring railing. However, Cat lads her feet on the top of the railing and springboards into a dropkick right between the eyes of the Mammoth. Ben Price, Cat Hale with massive dropkick. Eddie Vega, the longer this goes, I think the more it favors Hale. That is, depending on the amount of harm inflicted by the Mammoth. Monster Mammoth staggers backwards and falls over the steps behind him, landing on the floor. Cat rolls into the ring and rolls back out to restart the count by the referee. She rolls back into the ring and watches as Monster Mammoth slowly gets back to his feet. Morgan Decker, you know you can't beat him, Cat. You may as well just give up now as we both know that you're nothing without. Zolothak, Tabitha Osborne grabs Morgan Decker and does a Russian leg sweep, but forwards to land Morgan onto his face. Inside the ring, Monster Mammoth makes it back into the ring, but Cat rushes across the ring, having bounced off of the ropes, and nails Mammoth in the right knee with a drop kick that sends him down to his knees. Cat places her hands on Mammoth's shoulders, uses him to flip over the beast, and then hits the wicked rhythm. She goes for the cover. Ben Price, wicked rhythm. Wicked rhythm. She just hit Mammoth with a wicked rhythm. 1, 2, 3. Eric Wilson, winner of the match via pinfall and new CWF Valor champion, wicked, Cat Hale. Mammoth rolls out of the ring to join Mad, who has just gotten back up. Tetsuo Oni and Tabitha Osborne join Cat in the ring to celebrate her winning the championship. Morgan Decker stands up, blood running from his nose and down the front of his expensive suit. He has found the microphone. Morgan Decker, you bitches won't get away with this. I will have my revenge. Morgan vanishes to the back while Cat and company continue to celebrate in the ring. Ben Price, wicked, Cat Hale is now a double champion in the CWF, both the 4WW Tempest champion and the CWF Valor champion. Eddie Vega, and she shouldn't be. Tetsuo Oni helped her out there. Zolothak helped her out. And why? Ben Price, Tetsuo Oni only touched Mad Morales, and Zolothak only touched Morgan Decker. Now, at one point it could be argued that maybe Monster Mammoth should have been disqualified, and by Valor Division rules that would have resulted in a title change as well. Eddie Vega, well, what does this do with Miguel Lanza's shot at the Valor title next week? And Frank Windsor has also challenged Monster Mammoth for next week. This completed changes the chessboard up right before our go-home show for Desperate Warfare. Ben Price, who knows? Hopefully someone answers soon. That's all we have tonight for you. Both, and a quick, remember, #JoinTheConquest.